Hello, my dear students. In this video lecture, we are going to explain the different type of Arduino functions that you will use if you want to display text in LCD I2C. The first one is the LCD.print function. So it will require you to put text in quotation marks inside these parentheses. So whatever is inside the parentheses and inside the quotation mark will appear on the screen. Now take note that if the characters inside this parenthesis is longer than 16 characters, it would be truncated. That means not the whole text will appear since it exceeds the width of the LCD screen. Remember that you only have 16 by 2 LCD screen in the laboratory. The second one is usually used with LCD.print function. It's the LCD.setCursor function. So this will allow you to specify in which column or row you want to put your text on, or you want it to start appearing. That's why here, inside the parentheses, you have two parameters. The first one is the column, and the second one is the row, so that you can specify the position. This is our coordinate system when we are dealing with LCD I2C. So remember that you have two rows such as this, and there are 16 columns. But the thing is, the numbering starts at 0 because in programming, we what is usually used is the zero-based indexing. You start counting at 0. So this right here is column 0, row 0. So 0, comma 0. This right here is column 1, row 0. So that's going to be 1, comma 0 if you put that on the LCD.setCursor function. If you want to put your text or your characters on the second row, the leftmost of the second row, that's going to be 0, comma 1. If you want to put it on the right, on the leftmost of the first column, that's going to be 0, comma 0. Usually that's is what you use in your programs. But let's say, for example, you want to put the text in the middle. So let's say you can do 6, comma 0, right? Set cursor 6, comma 0. And then your cursor will be here and your first character will appear starting here up to 15 of the first row. So this is just an example code segment. This is not a complete code, but I would like to show you how it can appear in a program. So in the first line, you specify where to put your cursor. So it's going to appear, your text will appear on the first row, leftmost of the first row, or first column, first row. The text that you want to appear is this one, hello, comma world. And then you want it to appear or to stay on the screen for 2 seconds or 2000 milliseconds. And then after that, another set of characters or text will appear now on the second row because you put here set cursor 0, comma 1. That's column 0 and row 1. What you want to appear there is Arduino LCD, this, this text inside the parentheses, and you also want to wait for 2 seconds until, if this is inside void loop, until, and then the loop starts again. Okay, how about after displaying the text, you want to clear or remove some of the text that are on the display? Well, you can use the LCD.clear function. It doesn't require you any parameter, so there's nothing inside the parentheses. If you use this, all of the content or all of the things that are displayed on your LCD will be erased. So this is a sample code segment using the program or the function LCD.print. You will print hello Arduino, and it will stay on screen for 2 seconds. Afterwards, it will clear that text, and this will appear instead. LCD cleared. Turning the display on and off. So you can use this if you want to sort of create a blinking effect. So LCD that no display, it will turn off your LCD for 1 second since you have a delay of 1000 here. And then after that, it will turn it again. But take note that this will not um, remove or delete the messages or the text that is on display. If you want to create a more convincing blinking effect, you can try removing the delay function here. You can also use the LCD to create a scrolling effect, especially if your text is too long and it doesn't fit on the 16:2 screen by using the LCD that scroll display left or right function. So of course, your scroll display left will move the display to the left of the screen, and the other one, scroll display right, will move the characters to the right of the screen, one character at a time. So what usually would happen is something like this. So in this particular program, the text on the first row is "this is scrolling" with an exclamation point at the end of it. So the text is a bit longer than the screen, so you can see that not all of the not ho- of the not the whole text does not appear at the beginning when you turn on the LCD screen. And you should observe that one letter at a time, the texts are disappearing to the right and then reappearing again once the loop is over. And that is how you can create the scrolling effect in the LCD screen. So this is what happens to your characters. So at loop 0, your text appears, and then at loop 1, the capital T disappear to the left side of the screen. Loop 2, the H. Loop 3, the I, and so on and so forth. So this one, your program will do the iteration from 0 to 15, since including 0, that would be 16 times. The loop will be performed 16 times, since the length or the width of your screen in a 16:2 LCD is, well, 16 characters can be held at a time. Okay, so this is a sample code segment using the scroll display left function. So you can see here that your cursor will start at the leftmost part of the first row, and this is the characters or text that will appear on that row. The LCD that scroll display left function is contained inside a loop or a for loop structure like this one. So usually you would use your scroll display function with the for loop. A for loop um, has 3 parameters. So you can see 3 things inside the parentheses here. You can see int position. You can put any valid variable name here. In position is equal to 0. This just means that the iteration or the looping is going to start. The second parameter here, position less than 16, is how many times the looping will be performed. How many times the scroll display left function will be performed. It will be performed less than 16, so that's 15. So it's going to be performed from 0 to 15. Okay, and then the last parameter is just position with the plus plus, which just means that the increment is 1 one at a time. So the first loop would be 0, always plus 1. So the second is loop 1 and then loop 2 until loop number 15 where it stops. Remember that your scroll display left function will only move characters or display to the left one at a time, or one box, one movement to the right, one shift to the left rather. So you have to put it on a loop so that it will do the shifting to the left a total of 15 times. For each shifting to the left, we have a delay of 300 seconds. So it would wait for 3,300 milliseconds before shifting again, performing again the loop. Okay, let me go back to the scrolling function, scrolling text program. So this is our program. Our program here shows that um, a text is scrolling to the left. But if you want your text to scroll to the right, let me show you the code. All you have to do here is to replace this with scroll display right, so that your text will scroll in the opposite direction. Okay, something like that. If you want it to be faster, if you want your scrolling to be faster, well, you have to reduce the delay. That's one way of doing that. Now, this one is shifting your characters one at a time. But what if you want it to shift? You want it to shift two at a time, two characters at a time. So what you would do is, let me put it back to the original delay, is to create another function, scroll display right function here. Let's observe what happens. So now you see that two characters appears or disappears, right, at the time instead of one. Okay, I think the delay should be longer so it doesn't hang. Let's make this 500. Okay, here is the Hello World program again. Let's try to tinker a little bit with the code. Okay, so the Hello World text appears here because we have the LCD.print in the void setup function. Okay, so in default, your text would appear on the leftmost of the top row or the first row. Again, if you want it to appear on the second row, you have to use the LCD.setCursor function. Let's say that's 0, 1. Okay, take note that if you want to put it sort of in the middle, we can adjust the columns here. Let's say 5, 1. So it would be a bit centered. Oh, some of the text were chopped off. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, yep. We start the counting at 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this program. in order to see how you can display a series of text on an LCD screen. Okay, so we have one, two, three, four set of texts that are displayed on screen. Let's take a look at the code. Okay, so we place them in a loop. That's why your texts are looping. Your texts 1 to 4 are appearing again and again. We put them inside the void loop function. First, we clear the screen so that anything that is on the screen would disappear before our text appears. The cursor is 0, comma 0 is placed on 0, comma 0. So that's the leftmost first row. We want to print hello Arduino first for 2 seconds. There's a delay of 2000 milliseconds. That means the program will wait for that amount of time before the next line is executed. Mm, we have an LCD clear again so that the hello world character or text will disappear before the next one. Okay, so that's how we created this one. Let's try to remove the LCD clear to see what would happen to our program. Would it have an effect on the display? Let's see. Oh, look at that. Because the basic function, the third text basic function is longer, and you didn't use the LCD clear, the ns from the word function was was still present when looping text appeared. The fourth text appeared. Okay, so those are a few considerations. So it's very important that you clear your screen if you want your text to not misalign